everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to Table Talk.
Yeah.
Yay. Dun, dun, dun. I like to
Can't
move
see
up a
you.
little bit.
Yeah,
I know, I
the-
have the tree in
the
our
tree.
beautiful little Christmas
Baby
tree
tree.
here in the lobby. That's where we are today. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I'm here with Becca.
Hi.
Yay.
With a ransom coffee mug.
Yes, we're holding that for ransom. That's one of our singers on the worship team. Her name is Jen.
You know who
She
you
might be
are.
watching this,
Yeah.
and she left it, so we're holding it for ransom this
A
week.
little Easter egg for you. It is.
It's exciting, yes. So, and then I forgot to bring my like Christmas
Oh, that's okay.
coffee mug thing. So,
Coffee's coffee.
yeah, next week we're gonna have to like have cookies or have like a nice little.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll like make a little fire or something, and
Not inside.
not inside. No. Or maybe we could film it like at night. Ooh, outside with the flashing. So we have all these flashing
Yeah,
lights.
drive by the church.
Drive by the
sometime.
church. Yes, it's
Yeah.
so exciting.
Yeah.
And then we have lights inside, and it's
Mhm.
all so nice and Christmassy, and
Yay.
wreaths on the doors, and lots of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
yay Advent! It's
Yes,
ready for Christmas.
Advent in full
Jesus
swing.
coming. So
Yeah.
fun. So anyway, so we're in this series,
Second week.
second week of Advent. You guys lit the second candle.
Yes.
Yay.
Evie, Genevieve and Alan lit it, and then Yossi and I put up the little. I think it was Joseph. We put up
Yes,
this week.
Joseph
So we
this
put
week.
Joseph up, and
Yay.
wasn't sure how that was going to go, but it went really well.
It did, and the candles did not catch on fire
No,
during the
even though
service.
you're like-
it was like hissing while I'm preaching, and I'm like, this might not be good. Like I thought the thing was like maybe gonna fall over or something, and that's why I'm like, oh no, but then it went out by itself.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of what you do. So
never a
illuminate.
dull moment.
It goes
Never-
with the series.
illuminate.
Illuminate. So
Even if it's on fire,
um,
it's still illuminating.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So so this week, to kind of go along with the theme like light and darkness, we talked about grace and the story of Joseph in the Gospel of Matthew, and all that kind of comes with it. And you know what was interesting? So for me, when I was like doing research and just studying, and of course this is a story many of us have heard.
Yeah.
I mean, so many times, and we revisit like every year, you know. So there's a part of it. It's like kind of a reminder each year that we come back to the story. But of course, you're always looking for like, okay, what's like the little nugget here? What's like the different
Or something
way?
new I haven't thought
Something
of before.
new, yes, that
A
might
new-
just change how you see like the
new
story.
angle.
Yeah, and that was where that like that word righteous like came in, and that was just like boom, it just hit me. It was because I kept thinking that, okay, well, Joseph, because he was a good guy, he was a nice man, he was whatever, so he treated Mary nice. And
Just because you're like
That's
a
kinda-
rule follower and a righteous person per se doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make the right choice when it comes to grace. And I
right,
think that's what Jesus was really all about, was coming to like
right,
kind of turn the tables on what it really means to be
right,
a person of God, a disciple of God, a disciple of Jesus. And
yeah,
Joseph was a good guy. He was a great guy. He was like,
Right.
he was betrothed and all that good stuff. But
right, and he was a good religious Jew.
yeah, he
as
was upright.
well.
Yeah, he
was
followed
upright.
the rules.
He did.
Yeah.
He was well known, and he was expected that he would have followed every single thing to a T.
But I
in-
also
in
think
part.
that being a righteous person and following it's not a bad
No.
thing. I just think allowing yourself to have the discernment of the Spirit be upon you to make those choices when grace needs to come into play.
Yes.
And I think that's what he allowed, what Joseph allowed to happen. And he was, like you said, foreshadowing what it means to be a real believer, a real follower, is to allow, even though, these people might say it's wrong, or society might say something is, you should do it a certain way.
Right.
Maybe sometimes just extending that olive branch to someone, or the little nugget of peace and grace. It's not necessarily wrong to do that in other people's eyes, but it's also not normal.
No,
So
it
being
isn't.
against the flow of what people are expecting you to do.
Yeah, and I think especially just like right now, just where we are, like I mean, I can't tell you even after like the service yesterday, like I had a couple people like tell me just like stories of like how like grace is not readily available, or it's not very readily expressed very much. Somebody told me a story of being in an airport recently,
Even
and
among
just
Christians,
the
you know,
craziness, and just like how everybody was like on edge, and there was this
In a
kid
hurry.
yelling, and everybody's like looking at the parents,
Yeah.
like judging, and and it's just like we're so tense right now and stressed, and just with so much going on in our world that I think we even more so need to extend grace.
Yeah, I know, like one of your questions on here was, have you ever reacted to, judged, or punished someone only later to find out more of their story and what was going on, and how did that impact you?
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens a lot. It's kind of part of growing up. You know, you look back at your life 20 years ago and you judge someone because you had never been in their shoes or been in that position or that point in your life. Or like even, you know, young couples before they have kids. Well, my kid's never gonna act like that. Okay, whatever, you know. And then you have a kid and you're like, oh man, I'm so sorry to whoever that was I just judged in that grocery store, you know.
Yeah.
And it's true, you know. Or even, you know, I had a girl first and she was a saint, and comparatively Saint Genevieve. And then I had Yossi, and he's not a saint, but he's not a good saint. he's a good little boy. He's just active.
He's so lovable.
And you know, I've judged a lot of parents who had children like my son, and I felt, now I'm like, I was a jerk. Yeah. And now I'm like, Jesus, just get me through this day, please.
Yeah.
And make it be bedtime and go to sleep on time. And now he's crawling out of the crib, so.
Yeah, but you just, like you said, you don't know.
No,
you don't know. We're only in this like very small part of someone else's story that we have no idea what the rest of the chapters have held in the past.
And even if they are doing something wrong.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to respond to that? Even if you know they willfully did something wrong.
Right.
So we're still called, I mean, Jesus was put to death, and he willfully knew they were doing wrong. They don't know what they do. Forgive them, but they don't know what they do.
Yeah.
I know, it's so hard to do. Like,
yeah, it is.
So
it is.
hard.
And it doesn't excuse like someone's behavior by any means. I think because very easily we can get into that realm of things too, to be like, oh, well, it's always somebody else's fault. This is why I'm acting this way, and that kind of stuff. But there's also just a part of it that I feel like grace is so much more powerful than punishment is.
I think that's why being in community is really important.
Yes.
Because you need people to keep people accountable.
And we all need grace.
Yeah, we all need grace.
I need it.
One, we all need grace. Two,
yes.
we need accountability. Accountability is such a word, but we need to be loving to each other and let someone know in love when they've hurt our feelings or whatever the thing is, or if there's a traumatic experience, then obviously it's to be dealt differently. But what I'm getting at is community. For example, people who have experienced trauma or addiction, things like At the Cross recovery and going to therapy and things like that are extremely important, because
and
table groups and meeting with your people and really getting to people on a deeper level. And even in table groups, you might hurt somebody's feelings or say something weird, and you know, obviously nobody's perfect, like you said. Newsflash, nobody's perfect. And you're all gonna make
But we
mistakes.
have to realize that we have to give people permission to be imperfect, because I'm imperfect. You're imperfect.
I make mistakes. I did one last Sunday. I did one this Sunday. We'll do it every Sunday.
But I think, I know for myself, so many times I look at someone else and I expect them to be perfect. And when they do mess up or say something different or willfully wrong me, I can't help but think like, oh, okay, well, that means that
you're gonna write it off. Yeah, never doing that again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, they're terrible. I don't want any relationship with them and all. And that's like the opposite of what is healing and what is healthy when we're in a relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, especially when you're in church and these people are like not your family, first of all, so you can't really you can choose to not be around these people. A family you can choose not to be around too, but it's a little different when you live in the same house.
Right.
But it can be hard. It can be hard, and we have to extend that grace. And obviously we don't always do it, which is why there's conflict and problems and.
Yeah, but I love how Joseph, like even extending Mary that grace, in some way that like bought time. You know what I mean? For the rest of the story to develop, for him to hear from the angel in his dream. And I think about that too, about how reacting right away is most of the time never the best thing to do.
That's what I do.
Yeah, but it's just like, regardless of like, whether you're extending someone grace or there has to be some kind of accountability or conversation that has to be had. It's never good to be like, bam, I'm reacting right away. Like there's a blessing that comes with time, with that pausing.
Well, there needs to be healing too, especially for instances of serious things that are like bad, wrong wrongs that were done to you. You need time to heal. You need time to process that.
Yeah.
You need time to be able to forgive and allow God to work in you. You know, and I think that was what happened to Joseph. You know, even if Mary did actually break their betrothal vows, whatever, even if that did happen, which we know it didn't, but
he found out later.
Then he found out later, even if it did, he showed an extraordinary amount of restraint in being angry with her because he was, you know, he could have been really, really angry. I would be angry if it was a personal, it wasn't just that you broke our vows, our betrothal vows, and, you know, you're a woman of, you know, the night or whatever, you know, call her like that. But his feelings were hurt because this was supposed to be his wife for like forever, and his feelings got hurt, not just about the law and looking good. It was more about how he felt, and you know, those things happen.
And you know, it's interesting. So different traditions talk about Joseph in different ways too. I know in the Roman Catholic tradition, they characterize Joseph as being this kind of older man. That basically, like, you know, Mary and Joseph, even when they were married, like they never consummated the marriage, because he was more of this kind of taking Mary under his wing, and
which happened a lot, and
that was a very important. That's a very important idea in the Catholic Church. But we never really know what happened to Joseph. Like, there's no
after Jesus was born in the temple,
and then he's taken to the temple, and we see him once as a child. You know, that's it. We never really know, and so that's where also just I thought maybe he was a bit older, and so he passed away because people really didn't live, you know, much past 30, almost 40 years old at that time, especially when you were a peasant, you know. So he just kind of disappears off the scene. So we can kind of speculate about, you know, what happened, but in any case, like, there's never a thought of, you know, something negative that took place. More of, we tend to see Joseph in a positive light.
Well, he did a very good thing.
Yes.
So
and even taking this son who wasn't his. Think about that. Like, and in that time, like, you know, that's not something normal, especially when nobody else would have understood at that point, you know, how Mary had gotten pregnant. So just an interesting thing. But when you see that intensity of character, and, you know, and we're women, of course, so, you know, so we don't know from the guy's perspective of stuff, but I think sometimes with guys, it's even harder to show grace, to demonstrate that, because I think sometimes in society there's this characterization of, oh, well, you have to be strong and you have to put things right, but yeah, we see in Joseph this grace that is actually strong, that's strong, and that is admirable. And so I think that's a challenge for all of us, is to see that too. It's not a sense of weakness, but of strength.
Yeah, and getting back to your points, you talk about grace is undeserved, grace is costly, grace, what was the third one, the fourth one? Grace recognizes
bigger story.
A bigger story. Yeah. I think, moving to some of your questions in the doggy bag part, have you ever, why is grace so hard to accept? Why is it so hard to offer? I think sometimes forgiveness goes in with that too. Like, if you're an adult and you've had like traumatic experiences, for example, a lot of people might, you know, church know I've had abuse in my childhood, and it really shapes you, like how you can handle the situation. Like, you need time to heal, you need community. So this church I came to, amazing. Like, I had no idea the amount of grace that would be extended to me. They didn't even know me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but it's hard when you need to forgive someone and extend grace to someone, but you're not ready to do it, and people don't understand that.
Sure.
So, like, you need to give people time to, like, heal as well, especially if there's addiction or trauma. And then also remember that people, bigger story, people in your community might also have those kinds of situations. And they might be reacting to a situation that's like, they felt threatened, you know? So I'm not sure.
Very true.
And then for you, once you go through something like that, and then you experience grace and forgiveness, and you extend it, and how hard it is, sometimes it makes you stronger in your faith and in your relationships to understand where someone else is coming from. And doesn't mean you'll make a mistake again, because sometimes it's really easy to, like, just have a gut reaction to something small. But I mean, the big things, you know, it makes a bigger picture for you, and I think it gives you a little more depth in your relationship with others and with God, to reflect that light that you have been. And then we talk about prevenient grace a lot at the the table.
Right.
That bigger story is that prevenient grace that has been extended to you
that God's been at
before
work.
you even know it is there. Like it's just there. And so for you,
And you don't know who that might ignite.
no, not at
You
all.
have no idea.
So like by you acknowledging what you went through, extending grace and forgiveness despite someone like your friend who gave forgiveness to someone who didn't even ask for it,
Yeah.
who still continued to treat her badly. Now, obviously, don't allow people to say nasty things to you or treat you badly.
Yeah, there's boundaries.
There's
there.
boundaries there. I'm not advocating, for that, but just to know in your heart, like I still forgive this person. It's empowering, and not empowering in
In like a condescending
not in
way.
a condescending way. It's
Right.
empowering to know that you might be affecting that person who hurt you. To see that working in you, you're reflecting grace.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep, no,
I
absolutely.
don't know.
And I know even among our congregation,
The light.
yeah, there's several people like that's their story. Somebody
Yeah.
extended grace to them,
Mhm.
and it's because of that light
Even though
was
they did wrong.
magnified and amplified, and it was attractive to
Yeah.
them. So
And
you
it's
never
costly.
underestimate that.
It's costly because it's
Costly.
hard. It's like to maintain a relationship with someone who may not have even apologized or fully admitted to what they did.
Yep.
But that's what Jesus did.
And it's allowing God in and into that, and like you
Yeah.
said, to bring healing, restoration in some way, even if it's not fully in that relationship. There's still something powerful there.
Yeah. And that's how God has shown grace to us. So,
Yes.
I mean, we're not at all emotionally intelligent enough to do it like right away. But like I said, it takes time, takes community, and we need our church. We need sermons like your sermon that you preached on Sunday, and I can't wait for the next one. What's the next one about?
We'll see.
Secrets.
Top secret.
Top secret.
Top
She's
secret.
not letting.
It's about light.
Oh, okay. Well, late.
I know. Yeah. No,
Well, it's
awesome.
funny.
Yeah.
I wanted to share this poem I wrote to
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
I was
Yes. Well, let's close out with that.
17 years old.
Yeah.
It's called The Source, and I wrote it, and it says, as the rays of sun poke through the clouds and pinholes of light, as the moon reflects the sun's luminous source on leaves at night, the gratitude bursts from my soul through tiny wounds and bounces, illuminating the little things in my life all around. And that is from my soul to God's.
Thank you. Thanks, Becca.
And I wrote this out of a place of pain, knowing that my church and my friends and my family were praying for me. I know you guys can do it too. So, there it is.
Thank you for being bold enough to share that.
No problem. And I'm sorry I'm crying because I don't normally cry. But I really feel passionate about this, and reflecting grace is a really big deal. So, sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. No,
Anyway.
Thank you.
Jen,
Thank you for blessing us.
I got your cup. Come get it.
No, thank you, Becca. No,
Yeah,
this was
no
great.
problem.
Thank you for sharing, being vulnerable today, and just sharing your heart with us.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. And you don't know who's watching that needed to hear this right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Like God needed
And you
to
are
watch
loved
this.
and you belong no matter where you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
See you on Sunday.
Yes, have a great week, guys, and yeah, definitely join us for the next installment of this series. Whatever darkness that you may be encountering, or maybe somebody in your life has been facing, know that the light shines.
It does. And
And
you
darkness has
can, and you
not
can
overcome.
reflect the light.
Amen to that. Okay, take care, guys.
Bye.
Have a good
Have a
one.
good week.